Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Fix IBMI Backup Failures with Virtual Tape. My name is Axe Signer, Vice President of Electronic Storage Corporation. Our company is located in Tulsa, Oklahoma. In our Tulsa office, we have our own programming staff, also our own technical support and customer service staff here in Oklahoma. We've been in business for over 30 years as a software developer. We are an IBM registered business partner and a Microsoft certified partner. So we're going to talk about three important considerations on IBMI backup jobs: taking longer, missing available backup windows, creating recovery risk for your IT teams and IT admins. So when backups fail to complete consistently, restore points become unreliable and downtime exposure increases. Also, if backup reliability is starting to slip, now is the time to correct it before it becomes a serious problem. So therefore, we're going to talk about a virtual tape option for IBMI backups. So how virtual tape solves these challenges: faster backups within shrinking backup windows. So we're going to talk about the differences between backup speeds for physical tape compared to a virtual tape solution, also giving you more reliable restore points, reduce production impact during backups. Therefore, you're able to shorten the backup window with faster backup speeds on virtual tape. Faster restores for reduced downtime. So immediately being able to restore any backup at any time. We're going to talk about that and even do a demo of how you can do that process. Elimination of manual tape handling. This is a big thing that virtual tape can solve in terms of moving tapes, storing tapes, retrieving tapes, managing those tapes, labeling, everything that goes into the manual process of handling physical tape. And then we're going to go through seamless integration with your IBMI backup workflows in terms of using your existing backup processes that you use with physical tape, being able to use those exact same process and migrating over to a virtual tape solution, making it a fast, seamless integration with your backup workflow. So backup and recovery data flow overview. So this kind of gives you a quick diagram overview of a VTL solution, our particular solution called ViTL by LaserVault. So this is an appliance. This can actually also be software. And then this is software that we developed here with our own programming staff in Tulsa. So the ViTL appliances gives you a backup repository, data protection, retention policy, monitoring and reporting of your backups, as well as other types of processes that you might be doing with your backup data, such as replication, compression, encryption, deduplication of your data. So from the IBM standpoint, this connectivity between the VTL appliance, it can either be a fiber channel or a SAS connection. So same way that you're connecting your existing tape library or tape device, the VTL solution would be connected exactly the same way. So your recovery would be from the VTL as virtual tapes. And also to mention that recovering and restoring of your data is the same process you'd go through in a virtual tape, in a physical tape solution, therefore making restores really the same. So the learning curve of using virtual tapes for save and restores is very short. So we'll go through a live demo of our particular solution, LaserVault ViTL, show you some of the features, capabilities, and processes that you can go through in creating your virtual tape library and using that for your IBMI backups. So the first thing I want to go to is our VTL ViTL web interface. So I'm going to log in with a secure username and password. This gives me access as administrator to this interface, where the first thing that we're going to talk about is how to define a tape library for your IBMI to recognize, just as it would a physical tape or a physical tape library, it's going to be able to recognize this exactly the same way because that's exactly what it's emulating either through the fiber channel or SAS connection. So we're going to talk about defining tape libraries. I have two virtual tape libraries defined within the web interface that I want to present to the IBMI for my backups to present to my LPARs, whether they're IBMI, AIX. I'm going to be able to present those easily once they're defined here in this interface. So library one, we're going to edit the settings and go through some of these options here to create your tape library. So we give the library a name, and I'll go through that in a minute. Over on this side of the menu on the left, we've got Ultrium options 8, 5, 3, and 2. There's two things to note about choosing your Ultrium option. Number one is none of these options have a storage limitation. So therefore, if you were to choose to emulate Ultrium 5 and your backup was 10 terabytes for a full save, that's all going to fit on one virtual tape because there's no size limitation. There's also no difference in speed between the LTO options as there is in physical tape. So therefore, LTO 5 would be a faster backup than physical 5, and also a faster backup than physical Ultrium 8. Number of storage slots. So this is currently set to 60. So I can create 60 virtual tapes within this virtual tape library. This number can go over 13,000 virtual tape storage slots, and you may increase this number of storage slots anytime that you need to add additional tapes. So what this really means is you have a virtually unlimited number of storage slots for your virtual tape. So if your particular backup requirements don't delete any backups, you would certainly be able to keep over 13,000 backups online at any time to restore from, and also to have for auditing and backup procedures and restores. You can set a capacity on a tape. We have customers that do throughout the day save journal entries onto their tapes, and therefore they want that tape to eventually fill up, and therefore it rotate to a new tape as soon as that tape becomes full. And we kind of went over in the PowerPoint presentation the differences between backup speeds for physical tape and virtual tape. So this is one of the features that you can set some of these parameters here or any of these parameters for backup and restore speed. So our software has the ability to cache a certain amount of data based on those settings before it's committed to disk. Therefore, that allows us to help with you tweaking the fastest backup speed that you can achieve to disk compared to tape, which we want to be at least double the speed compared to a physical tape backup. So there's write and read caches. Write caches are for backup speed. Read caches obviously would be for restore speed when the data is being read from disk during a restore. We have some settings here for replication and retention, which I'm going to cover in just a minute. We've also got over here to the right two backup paths defined for this tape library. You can define unlimited backup paths for your tape library in which you want to store virtual tape backups. So I have a local path on this particular VTL server that's in our data center. It's our demo server. It's got some disk on that server for backup storage. So that is the E drive. I also have a second path to Azure Cloud Storage. So I can keep tapes in either of those backup data paths. If I save locally for speed, and then if I want to at any time, either automatically or manually move a tape from local storage to Azure Cloud, but still be able to at any time restore from that tape that's stored in Azure or migrate it back to local storage to perform a restore of that data. Also, if you wanted your primary path to be pointing to SAN or NAS storage, You could leverage that storage by defining that as a path to store and write your backups and store your virtual tapes to that path instead of a local path. This allows our product to be agnostic in terms of storage, where you don't have to buy an appliance with storage if you want to utilize existing SAN or NAS storage. I'm going to edit some of the settings. I'm going to edit the settings screen here and show you the path settings for this particular tape library. I've got the path defined. I call it local to define, where those tapes are located as a descriptive path name. Data block file count. This is another option and capability within our product to increase backup speed. This allows us to multi-thread the write process. So when data is being written to disk during the backup, we're actually, since this is set to 8, we're writing to 8 files at the same time. So this data block file count allows us to use more processing power of the server in which the VTL software is being hosted, therefore increasing backup speed, wanting to achieve over double the speed of a physical tape backup. The software comes with compression. So this licensing, the standard base licensing comes with a compression option, which averages 5-to-1 compression of your data. Also, encryption is included, so you can check that box. This would be your encryption key so that if this is used anytime you need to restore data, it's going to automatically unencrypt what you're restoring, whether it's object, library, directly. It's going to do that automatically. We do have an optional add-on license to our VTL solution for data deduplication. This is block level deduplication. So we mentioned compression at around 5-to-1. Deduplication can double, triple, quadruple your compression ratio, anywhere from 10-to-1 and higher compression of your data. It's block level deduplication. It also reduces the amount of data that you might be replicating, whether it's to cloud storage, to a DR site, co-location, um, hosted data center, whatever the case might be. Deduplication can be used to increase compression and also decrease replication time. So those are some of the settings within that particular path. Each path can have its own set of options as well. Then we have tape drives defined. So we have one entry here for a worldwide port name for the physical fiber channel port in our LaserVault ViTL demo server. Control path, yes. So back to the I series, what this gives you is a tape library. In my case, it's TAP MLB V1, and then a tape device TAP V1. So that's a single worldwide port name that's going to present to the I series to whichever LPAR this is used on, or multiple LPARs, a tape device, and a tape library. Now we support NPIV capabilities. So this physical fiber channel connection, if connected via switch to the IBM fiber channel, you can have up to 64 virtual devices per fiber channel port that's in the LaserVault VTL server. So I can have additional entries here. Control path no would mean I'm adding a tape device that's going to be used by this particular tape library, or I can add additional tape libraries with tape devices. Again, up to 64 tape devices can be defined per fiber channel port. Those speeds, typically entry level speed is 16 gig. You can go 32 gig or 64 gig fiber channel connectivity from the VTL server to the IBM Here we have group access. So this is the security capabilities of this interface. Really, primarily, this interface is used to define your tape libraries, all the settings and parameters you're going to use for each tape library. and then access to that tape library if a person is going to log in and use this interface to do any administrative functions, maybe manually load a tape, see the tapes in the library, things like that, or make any kind of changes in this interface based on whatever is occurring in your backup process. So if we edit the administrator group, which is what I'm logged in as, these are the checked off features that I'm allowed to do within this tape library. So each tape library can be limited to access based on users that are belong to groups. So I could belong to a group that's not allowed. My login could belong to a group that's not allowed to view this particular tape library. So there's some of the security features and capabilities you can set for a group, and members of that group can access within a virtual tape library that's been defined. So this applies just to this particular tape library. And this tape library is going to have its own inventory of tapes, its own backup processes. Let's talk about replication and retention. We've got several examples of replication that have already been defined as examples of how you can replicate your backups from one location to another. Again, whether that's a DR location, co-location, any SAN or NAS that you might want to replicate. Therefore, the ability to keep two copies of your backups. With physical tape, of course, we all know you have one copy of that backup, and that is solely on a physical tape. In this case, you can create one additional copy, two additional copies, three, as many as you need. You can even copy to tape. We have a copy to tape function within our software, or you can use dupe media or dupe tape, dupe media BRM, or dupe tape to copy from here to physical tape. So this gives you the ability to create multiple backups. Therefore, having additional copies always better than having one copy of your backup. I've got examples of replicating to Azure S3 or Azure S3 and Wasabi. Those have built-in parameters for your own cloud account that is under your company, um, to have cloud storage for your backups in order to perform the replication to those cloud storage accounts. Editing some of the features here. You can define replication based on which volumes you'd like to replicate based on the volume prefix. There's an email notification option to receive automated emails when a replication is started, when it is completed, and if there was an issue or an error during the replication, you'd also receive email notification. So we can do all volumes. We can do number of volumes. So if you want to run this every other day, maybe you're going to replicate the last two daily backups. So you can set that to replicate one or more recent volumes to this replication path. Here the path is defined for the replication job. It's set to a network path. Again, we have built-in parameters for Azure S3 and Wasabi. If you were to select those options to replicate to those, uh, and then you can do replication to two different locations at the same time if you're needing to. Once these are defined, these are going to run as automated scheduled jobs that can be either executed from the IBM I side or from the Windows server or Linux server that is running this software. Also, we have retention down here below for local retention of your backups, as well as replicated copies of your backups. Now, if you're running BRMS, Robot Save, those retentions are handled by those backup solutions. Therefore, you may not use local or remote retention for your backups, simply using BRMS to rotate through expired tapes that are available within the BRMS inventory. Okay, so let's take a look at Library 1. In Library 1, we're going to see all of our slots for our virtual tapes. So we have a column here called serial, which is your volume ID. So you're allowed 6 characters, just as the same as a physical tape. We also see a column for path. So we can actually see which path these tapes are located. So do have some tapes in Azure and some backup tapes, virtual tapes in local storage. I can actually go to this drop down and show all my local tapes. I can go to this drop down, select Azure, and show all my Azure tapes that are in cloud storage. All inventory shows here. I can manually move a tape to a drive. So I can move this volume to slot 2 to drive 1. If you have multiple tape drives, they'd be listed here for this tape library if multiple drives are defined. You also have, because I'm administrator, I have the delete option, migrate, which I can move the tape from local storage to another path. In this case, it would be Azure because that's what's defined for this tape library. So migrate is a move. So we're moving the tape from one path to another, but still having that tape visible in the inventory. So if I were to go to BRMS, restore a particular object that is on volume 4, then that tape would automatically load and restore. Now it would be slower because it's retrieving the data from the cloud over the wire, over the internet. Or I could migrate this tape from Azure back to local and then perform the restore. There's protect and unprotect. So this tape is protected, as you see over under properties column. The P for protect is illuminated, therefore showing that this tape cannot be overwritten, cannot be initialized, cannot be deleted until it is unprotected. Labels allows you to see which libraries are in that file or in that tape by sequence and also by size of the library. So you can get a quick look. So if this were a case where I needed to demode IPL from a full system backup, simply just moving that full system backup virtual tape into the drive allows me to perform a demode IPL from that full system save and restore my system from that save on the demode IPL. But in any case, really this is going to be a completely automated process. Your backups are going to be completely automated, whether you're using this as a tape device or as a tape library. If you're using it with BRMS, it's going to work the same in BRMS when saving to physical tape as it does to a virtual tape solution. Simply BRMS, you're just copying all of your current backup processes to a new process, adding in new tapes. So we can go here to create new tapes. I'm going to select local path, create tapes, put in a volume prefix, capacity if I need to, create multiple tapes. Starting with slot 15, I can create up to 46 additional tapes, have them initialized, and I'm ready to go. Those can get added into BRMS and they're ready to be used for your backup rotation. So again, anytime you need to create tapes, increase the number of tape slots, this is something that you're limited to on a physical tape library. You're not limited to within a VTL solution such as LaserVault ViTL because it's really unlimited. And having the ability, to restore at any point in time any library or object from any of your backups because they're available online. They're not having to be retrieved from a physical tape that it's located off site. I touched a little bit on deduplication as a feature within our solution. So improving your IBM backups with a virtual tape solution, recovery performance also improves. But if you're enabling integration with deduplication, you're going to get higher compression ratios. So you're going to reduce your backup storage consumption, which is really key these days with such higher prices and limited availability of SSD storage. Um, This gives you some big time savings in that storage consumption because of deduplication. Gives you a 20 to 1, 30, 40 to 1 compression of your data. So you're also improving your replication efficiency where you're replicating less data for each backup, 10, 20 times less data that you're replicating. So you're replicating less data. It's also replicating much faster. You can lower long term backup infrastructure costs and preserve your IBM I backup workflows. So everything stays the same in terms of the IBM I backup and recovery side. You're just allowing the vital software to perform all these functions and capabilities automatically for your backups. We also act as an interface for other deduplication, data protection appliances. We work a lot with Exagrid, Cohesity, Rubrik, Pure Storage, IBM in their data protection solution. So if you're currently using any of these solutions or have the ability to leverage any SAN or NAS storage, this means you're not having to invest in an appliance with built-in storage. You're just able to use our gateway solution, and the VTL connects directly to that storage and writes the data to the storage. So this gives you the ability of, if you're using any of these solutions that we are technology partners with, or you have an existing SAN or NAS that you'd like to use for your IBM I backups. One of our most recent technology partner ventures would be with IBM and their Defender Data Protect solution. So, as working similarly to whether you're using a Rubrik, Exagrid, or any other SAN or NAS storage capabilities, LaserVault can write data to IBM Defender Data Protect, therefore giving you all the features and capabilities of any of those solutions to use with your IBM backups, including replication, data immutability, deduplication, all the functionality that you would have with your any other existing backup storage appliance you'd have available for your IBM I backups. So just a quick testimonial quote here from one of our IBM I customers, basically describing more reliability, more convenience, no more IO errors that they were having with physical tape. Multiple tapes when saving and restoring is eliminated with a virtual tape solution because you have the ability to write your data to one virtual tape no matter the amount of that data. So really, they were driving to offsite tape vault locations to recover tapes. This is taking time. This is taking resources. Whereas you can have all of your virtual tapes and your backups online to restore at any time that you need. So just a quick summary: backup failures introduce operational risk and really consume resources, and that doesn't even include the handling of the manual tape functionalities that you might have that you would have with a physical tape solution. So very important that these get eliminated in order to reduce costs, reduce downtime, uh, risks that continue to increase over time, limitations that can increase. They do increase over time with physical tape and can do that sometimes very quickly. So virtual tape removes those constraints, improving your backup throughput, your backup speeds, consistency and recovery readiness while preserving IBM I backup workflows. So easily plug and play. So plug and play your VTL solution and you're ready to go in terms of defining your tape libraries, adding in tapes, putting those in your backup rotations for your daily, weekly, and monthlies, and you're ready to go. We've got some resources to download in the go to webinar panel. Data sheet, technical specifications, why vital, why now. There's also a quote sizing questionnaire. If you take a look at that, that information is used to help us determine what hardware requirements that you would possibly likely need for a VTL solution such as LaserVault ViTL, whether you can leverage existing storage, fiber channel speed, connectivity, SAS connectivity, whatever that might be with your current IBM I solution. And also, we've got some IBM I customer testimonials that you can download from the GoToWebinar panel. Okay, so some contact information for us. If you'd like more information, you'd like to get some pricing information, I want to mention too that I think I'd mentioned it before, but Vital does come as a software solution where it is a perpetual license. We're not subscription based in our licensing procedure. What we are is a virtual license fee for our VTL software. We offer servers at any capacity in terms of disk storage. We offer gateway server solutions. This can be in a VM solution. You can run the OS as Windows Server OS or Linux, Red Hat Linux OS. So you have your choice between those two different operating systems to host the VTL software. But feel free to reach out for us for any questions you might have, some pricing information, or give us a call at extension 1 on our 800 number. We do have a drawing for some noise canceling earbuds after this live session concludes, and we'll notify the winner via email and post it on our website. So visit us on our website, laservault.com, for any additional information on our VTL solution. So that would be conclude our presentation for the day and our webinar. I want to thank everybody for their time and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.